We are continuing with the Canto 1, Chapter 5. Canto 1 is the creation. Chapter 5 is Srila Nārada Muni's instructions on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Srila Vyasadeva. And we'll continue with verse number 39.
Prabhu, we have to do 38.
38, yes, 38, yes, 38, sorry. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Viṣṇu-padāya Kṛṣṇa Prestaya Bhūtale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are studying Canto 1, the creation, chapter 5 and verse number 38. Iti murtyabhidanena mantramurtim amurtikam yajte yagna purusham sa samyak darshanaha paman. What word? Iti, thus, murti, representation, abhidhanena, in sound, mantra murtim, from form representation of transcendental sound, amurtikam, the Lord who has no material form, yajate, worship, yagya, Viṣṇu, Purusham, the personality of Godhead, saha, he alone, samyak, perfectly, darshanaha, one who has seen, puman, person. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation, thus, he is the actual seer who worships in the form of transcendental sound representation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Viṣṇu, who has no material form. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is basically telling us that yes, our senses are imperfect, and we can see Lord Kṛṣṇa, Lord Viṣṇu, and we can worship him by the sound vibration as it is given in the age of Kali Yuga, via the transcendental method of chanting his holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Prabhupada says yes, and we can also experience it. One time, Prabhupada was on a morning walk, and he just suddenly stopped, and then he started asking the devotees. He said, how can you believe that Krishna is God? Devotees are confused. So one devotee, senior devotee, of course, in those days, there were many, if you are there in the movement for about 3 to 6 months, you become a senior devotee. So one senior devotee said, Prabhupada, because the scriptures say so. So Prabhupada said, the scriptures might be lying. And then another devotee who was again senior, he says, Prabhupada, because you say so, you are a spiritual master, you will never tell a lie to us. Prabhupada said, what if I'm lying? And one by one, few devotees gave answers. They were all correct answers, but Prabhupada didn't accept the answers. And then one new devotee who was just joined 3-4 days ago, and he was chanting and serving nicely, he just blurted out, he said, Prabhupada, when I chant Hare Krishna, I can experience the presence of Krishna. Prabhupada says, yes. Krishna, because he's a person, he reciprocates. He reciprocates. And that's why when we chant Hare Krishna, when our hearts get purified, we can actually feel the presence of Krishna. So Prabhupada here says, a person transmitting sound from a far distant place can be factually experienced. And then he says, if this is material possible, why not spiritually? It's simple logic. And Prabhupada says, this experience is not a vague, impersonal experience. It is actually an experience of the transcendental personality of Godhead, who possesses the pure form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge, Satchidananda Vigraha. So even the holy name, when we chant the holy name, here, of course, in one sense, Krishna does business with us. Of course, he doesn't do business in a way. He's very affectionate. He gives much more. But in some ways also we can say from our perspective, he does business with us. Why? If we give 5% to our chanting, Krishna will give 5% of his mercy. If we give 50% in our chanting, if we put 100% of our existence, 100% of our heart and soul in chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When we are focused, when we are chanting with all our hearts, Krishna reciprocates with all his heart. As we know, Bhurijan Prabhu says, he says, why when I'm chanting, Krishna doesn't appear? But when Draupadi, she just chanted once or twice, Govinda, Govinda, and Krishna immediately appeared. Why? He explains that when we chant, there's no focus, there's no attention, there's no dependency on Krishna, there's no taking shelter of Krishna. But when Draupadi chanted in the Sabha, in the Guru Sabha, she was completely dependent on the Lord. She took complete shelter of the Lord. Her chanting was completely focused. She was completely dependent on the Lord. And that's why Krishna appeared immediately. So when we understand, as Prabhupada says, yes, when we chant, Krishna reciprocates because he's a person. We have to have this faith, because ultimately these words which are coming from the 5th chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, they are coming to us through the Guru Parampara. And we have to have that faith that the mantra given to us in the Guru, by the Guru Parampara, it is going to give us full result. So here Nārada Muni says, yes, we have to, those who are actually seers, they worship Krishna in the form of sound vibration. Of course, in the Kali Yuga, we see Krishna in the form of sound vibration. The second paragraph here, Prabhupada speaks about the Pancharatri system, where, Nārada Muni, once Lord Shiva was explaining, I think, to Brahma, and then Brahma explained to Nārada Muni the Pancharatra Vidhi. Again, sorry, yesterday when I mentioned those 6 points on chanting, and I mentioned it was from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Actually, it was not from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Some devotees asked me to send them some more details on that, which I sent this morning. It's actually from Sanatana Goswami, not from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's from the Hari Bhakti Vilas of Sanatana Goswami. So please forgive me for the wrong information I gave yesterday. It is actually the 6 items are from, the qualities of chanting are from Hari Bhakti Vilas of Sanatana Goswami. So coming back to the Pancharatrika Vidhis, Nārada Pancharatrika Vidhi is one of the 108 Pancharatras. And there are 5 items to that. And these 5 items, actually, one who does deity worship in the morning are all included. It's just the Sanskrit names, which I'm not going to worry about now. This is just a piece of information. If someone is interested, you can write to me and I can send it. But otherwise, when we are doing, our preliminary activities, waking up early in the morning, paying obeisance to spiritual master, cleaning our bodies, putting fresh clothes. So these are, performing Achman, doing tilak. So these are the first part. Second part is when we collect the items for worship. Like when we prepare our paraphernalia, collect flowers, collect tulsi leaves. This is the second item. The third item is when we are, reciting the mantras to invoke the Lord, to wake up the Lord within our mind also. When we ask for different permissions, that is the third process, which actually helps us to understand our position as an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. When we offer items to the Lord, the deities in our homes, we actually offer to the spiritual master who offers to Prabhupada, and then it is passed on further. So it actually reveals our true identity as the Das Anudas, servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Lord. The fourth process is actually when we offer the 16 upacharas to the Lord. We offer Padyam, Argyam, Achmaniam, Madhuparga, the agarbatti, the lamp, the water, handkerchief, flower, and all those things. When you offer these 16 upacharas, that is actually called the actual worship. And the last item is the Bhagavad Vidhi, which is the chanting the cultivation of devotional service, our personal meditation, our study of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, like how we are doing now. And Prabhupada says that yes, this must be done. In this paragraph, Prabhupada is actually very much emphasizing doing it under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And even the chanting must be practiced by the direction of the spiritual master. So Prabhupada, in this paragraph, he's actually focusing on us following the direction through the Guru Parampara. Shvetaswara Upanishad very nicely says, Yas deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasyeta kathita artha prakashantem mahatmana. That if those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru. So if we have the implicit faith in the Lord and the spiritual master, automatically all the meanings of the Vedas will be revealed to us. So when we follow the Pancharatrika system, following in the footsteps of a spiritual master, following the orders of a spiritual master, then automatically everything will be known to us. Prabhupada ends this purport by saying very nicely, the Pancharatrika system is both practical and suitable for this age of quarrel. The Pancharatra is more important than the Vedanta for this modern age because it gives us a practical way to approach the Lord through the authorized process of Guru Parampara. Prabhupada gave us what we call a sandwich system. In the sandwich, you have a bread, then the layer of fillings, and a layer of bread again. So for us, our day should be like a sandwich. In the morning when we get up, we get ready, we chant our rounds nicely, we do some puja, some swadhyaya like this. That's the bottom bread. Then when we go for our work, because we have done and shielded ourselves against the material nature by our morning practice, even our work becomes devotional service when we offer the results to Krishna. The work is the middle filling. And when we come back in the evening, take our bath again, either chant some kirtan, 5 minutes kirtan, or eat something with the family, or again do some arti, whatever process we do. That is the uh, top bread, top layer of the bread. So there's a sandwich formula. One devotee, Prabhupada disciple, I forgot his name. I don't know whether it's Dharmatma Prabhu or some Dharma Prabhu. So he says that when they started it, when they joined the movement, they had the morning program. Then in the evening, they'll go out for service all day. They'll come back in the evening to the temple, and there'll be recitation of Bhagavad Gita, study of Bhagavad Gita, evening arti, and there'll be reading of Krishna book. They'll have some hot milk and then go to bed. But then he said that when the evening program at the temple stopped somewhere in early 80s, he replenished that with chanting 16 more rounds. So for many, many years after the evening program was stopped, he's been chanting 32 rounds. And of course, then when, he couldn't do much of physical services outside, then he added 16 more rounds. And then he says he's been chanting 48 rounds for the last, I think, 20, 25 years. So we can also take cue from these wonderful Mahatmas, these wonderful devotees, and, at least plan our life so that our life gets, as of now, it's little devotional service, more for our maintenance and duties and all that. But slowly, when Krishna comes into the picture, there will be more of devotional service and little bit of maintenance and duties. But a stage has to come when it will be just completely, our life is completely devotional service. I'll move on to verse number 39, unless there's any questions or comments, reflections. Anyone? Okay. Verse number 39. Imam swanigamam brahman avetya madanushtitam adanme jnanam aishwaryam swasmin bhavam chakeshavaha. Does someone want to read the word-to-word translation, please? Please unmute yourself and read the word-to-word translation.
I'll read, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Imam, thus, Swanigamam, confidential knowledge of the Vedas in respect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahman, O Brahmana, Vyasdev. Avyeta, Avetya, knowing it well. Mat, by me. Anushtitam, executed. Adai, bestowed upon me. Me. Gnanam, transcendental knowledge. Aishwaryam, opulence. Sasmin, Swasmin, personal. Bhavan, intimate affection and love. Cha, and Keshav, Lord Krishna. Translation: O Brahmana, thus by the Supreme Lord Krishna, I was endowed first with the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, as inculcated in the confidential part of the Vedas, then with the spiritual opulences, and then with his intimate loving service.
Can you read the purport also, Mataji? It's a short purport.
Communion with the Lord by transmission of the transcendental sound is not different from the whole spirit of Lord Krishna. It is completely perfect method for approaching the Lord. By such pure contact with the Lord, without offense of material conceptions, numbering 10, the devotee can rise above the material plane to understand the inner meaning of the Vedic literatures, including the Lord's existence in the transcendental realm. The Lord reveals his identity gradually to one who has unflinching faith, both in the spiritual master and in the Lord. After this, the devotee is endowed with the mystic opulences, which are 8 in number. And above all, the devotee is accepted in the confidential entourage of the Lord and is entrusted with the specific service of the Lord through the agency of the spiritual master. A pure devotee is more interested in serving the Lord than showing an exhibition of the mystic power dormant in him. Sri Narada has explained all this from the personal experience, and one can obtain all the facilities which Sri Narada obtained by perfecting and chanting process of the sound representation of the Lord. There is no bar for chanting this transcendental sound by anyone, provided it is received through the Narada's representative coming down by the chain of disciplic succession or the parampara system. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So here again, Prabhupada is emphasizing more and more and more on the on following the orders under the direction of the spiritual master and the parampara. So here, Narad Muni, he's giving his again personal example. We're coming to almost the end of the chapter. So Narad Muni says, yes, when I followed this system, what I'm telling you now, 3 things happened. First is he got the transcendental knowledge of the Lord as inculcated in the confidential parts of the Vedas. So again, there's hardly any mention that he actually went through all the Vedas. No. Krishna gave this knowledge in Narad Muni's heart. Then he got the spiritual opulences, the 8 mystic powers, and then the intimate loving service of the Lord. We also saw when we studied the second chapter that when we take up to bhakti, the path of bhakti, within 14 steps, actually, we can see the Lord. And this is given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Madhurya Kadambini. That within 14 steps, we can actually personally experience the presence of the Lord, see the Lord himself face to face. Prabhupada again emphasizes that yes, the most important thing is that we have to chant Hare Krishna. We have to chant Hare Krishna without any offense. And our spiritual master, His Holiness Indradumna Swami, he says, yes, we may chant, we may do all the activities, we may do a lot of devotional service, we may serve, we can distribute books, we can do everything. All these things we are doing just so that one day we can chant one Mahamantra with tears coming out of our eyes. So very important that we understand that our goal is that we must chant with complete affection. So we can see slowly what's happening here is that Narada has given instructions on the form and the qualities of the Lord, of how we can dovetail and direct our activities, daily activities, in remembering the Lord. Sridhara Swami, the original commentator of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, he actually explains, Sridhara Swami and Jiva Goswami, they both are giving us, how we can remember the Lord and act for Him. Sridhara Swami says, yes, the chanting and remembering the Lord's name and glories will actually cause the devotion of the Lord in our hearts. So we can develop the devotion of the Lord in our heart, and then whatever we do becomes devotional service. Whereas Srila Jiva Goswami says the other way around also works. That when we are not even hearing and chanting, but we are serving Krishna for His pleasure, automatically, slowly, we'll start chanting His name and remembering Him. So both the process works both ways. We start chanting and hearing, and then we start doing service, or we start doing service and then start chanting and hearing. Of course, a stage has to come when, because of our attraction towards the name and the service, affection develops, and from affection, naturally, attachment has to develop. So this is the stage we have to go through. And Prabhupada says here, and again he repeats the same thing in the next verse. Prabhupada says the last line is, there is no bar for chanting this transcendental sound by anyone. Golokera premadhana harinama sankirtana. This is transcendental. It does not come from this material world. One time my spiritual master was giving a class in Sydney, and he says, take this process, take this holy name, take this study of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, take this devotional service. It is free. So, he said it is free, and we know it is free. After the class, one Australian lady, she raised her hand. She said, sir, I have heard this, nothing is free in this world. No breakfast is free. So my spiritual master said, okay, so what do I reply to her? He thought for a while, meditated on Srila Prabhupada, and he says, yes, but this sound vibration is not from this world. It is coming from another world, and that's why it's free. Nothing is free in this world, but because this is coming from an outside world, from Golokera Premadhana, it's coming from spiritual world, that's why it is free. So we know that this transcendental sound vibration, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is Golokera, as Nārada Das Thakur says, Golokela Premadhana, Harinama Sankirtana, Ratina Janmi Loke Ne Pai. That yes, it has come from the outside world, the transcendental world, but I have got no attraction for that. So when we start chanting, when we start associating with devotees, studying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, slowly the attraction will happen, the rati will happen. So Prabhupada says here, there is no bar for chanting this transcendental sound by anyone, provided it is received through Nārada's representative, coming down by the chain of disciplic succession or the parampara system. Any questions or comments before we move to the last verse of this chapter? Okay, so last verse is verse number 40. Tvamapyadabhrashruta vishrutam vibho samapyate yen. No. Tvamapyadabhrashruta vishrutam vibho samapyate yena vidam bubhutsitam. Rakyahi dukhair murad arditatmanam sanklesha nirvana mushanti nanyata. Tvamyapyadabhrashruta vishrutam vibho samapyate yena vidam bubhutsitam. Prakyahi dukhair murarditatmanam sanklesha nirvana mushanti nanyata. Does someone want to read the word to word and translation, please?
I can do it.
Yes.
Tvam, your good soul. Api, also. Adabra, past. Shruta, Vedic literatures. Vishrutam, have heard also. Vibho, of the Almighty. Samapayate, satisfied. Yena, by which. Vidam, of the learned. Babhushitam, who always desires to learn transcendental knowledge. Prakhyahi, describe. Dukkhae, by miseries. Muhu, always. Ardita Atmanam, suffering mass of people. Sanklesha, sufferings. Nirvanam, mitigation. Ushantina, do not get out of. Anyayatha, by other means. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please therefore describe the Almighty Lord's activities, which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas, for that will satisfy the hankerings of great learned men, and at the same time mitigate the miseries of the masses of common people who are always suffering from material pangs. Indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries.
Thank you, Mataji. So here Narad Muni is now, after giving the background of his life, of the instructions, he's now telling Vyasdev. And when I read this word to word, I was so happy, so happy. Look at the way, in the Vedic system, each one was addressed. Narad Muni is actually addressing his disciple Vyasdev, but how he says, Tvam, your good soul. Just imagine, we're telling someone, your good soul. Such a nice way of describing a personality. So Narad Muni says here, please therefore describe the Almighty Lord's activities, which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas. For that will satisfy the hankerings of great learned men, and at the same time mitigate the miseries of the mass of common people who are always suffering from material pangs. Indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. So here, as we hear in the second verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that this is for both the expert and thoughtful men, and also for Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. So Narad Muni tells Vyasdev that yes, only Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, only the description of the Almighty Lord Shri Krishna, his activities, his appearance, his leelas, will satisfy the hankerings, because the learned men are always wanting to know more and more and more, and they want to know the absolute truth. Whereas the ordinary people just want to get over the miseries of the common life, everyday, daily grind, as they say. They want to just get above the daily grind of material existence. So Narad Muni instructs Srila Vyasdev that yes, please describe the glories of the Lord, as Srinivas Acharya in the Sadgoswami Astakam, he says, Nana Shastra Vicharana Panikuno Nipuno Sadharma Sanstapako Loka Nam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manya Sharanya Karo. He says, yes, he addresses six Goswamis, and he says, you, six Goswamis, have very kindly Nana Shastra Vicharana, all the different scriptures, you've actually distilled the teachings of all the Vedic scriptures, you've distilled into what common people can understand. And because of doing this, Lokanam Hitakarino, you have done big welfare for the people of this world. And same thing, Prabhupada in this purport here, the four classes of men who come to Krishna, and four classes of men who do not come to Krishna. Namam duskritino mudha prapadyante naradhama maya aprita jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. Prabhupada says that there are four kinds of people who do not come to him. These are the four kinds. And then there are four kinds of people who come to Prabhupada, who come to Krishna. Chaturida bhajante mam janah sukrito arjuna arto jignasun artharthi jnani cha bharatarshava. So 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita describes this, 15th and 16th verses. So Prabhupada in this purport, he explains that yes, if we study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, anyone who studies Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam actually will be satisfying the hankerings and also mitigate the miseries of this life. And Prabhupada ends this purport very beautifully by saying it is good for everyone. Srila Nārada ji advised Vyasdev to describe the glories of the Lord, just to do good to all 8 classes of men. The 4 people who do not come to Krishna and the 4 classes of people who come to Krishna, both good and bad. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is therefore not meant for any particular class of men or sect. It is for the sincere soul who actually wants his own welfare and peace of mind. So we should take cue from here, and when now this year Bhadra Purnima comes, we should all endeavor to distribute Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam as many as possible, not only to us, our family members, Indians, no. We should actually distribute to our workmates who are, not Indians. And this way we can take part in the mission of the Lord Krishna. Thank you very much. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the first canto, 5th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Narada's Instructions on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for Vyasadeva. Thank you very much. Any comments or any questions, any reflections? Please unmute yourself. Sorry, we have 1 minute ahead, more. So anyone? Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
You have a
Prabhu.
question?
Thank you very much for the class.
Okay.
Thank you.
Granth-raj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. May you
Jai.
all have a wonderful devotional, a day filled with Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you.